morning I will be telling you about my action research project that was focused around the question, how will implementing character education into morning meetings affect students' behavior inside and outside of the classroom? The school I was at was in a suburban area in western PA. There was approximately 789 students, and of those 789 students, they ranged from grades kindergarten up to 4th grade. 41% of the students were eligible for the free and reduced lunch program. And you can see the ethnic diversity, about 97% of the students were Caucasian, and then African American, Hispanic, Asian, and multiracial made up less than 1% of the population. The classroom I was in was a 1st grade classroom where there were 18 students, 9 boys and 9 girls. And one male student, I did not include him on this study. He left the classroom quite often for extra support with his paraprofessional, and I just felt that he was not in the classroom enough to be exposed to what I was teaching the students. It was a general education classroom where 2 students had IEPs and we had 2 English language learners. Before I started my study, I sent a letter home to the families where I stated what my study was going to be about, how the students would be involved, and I also had a little blurb if parents had any concerns or questions, they could contact me via email or phone. So why did I choose character education? I was in a professional development setting, so I've been with these students since November. And from day one, I noticed that there were a variety of behavioral issues. And it wasn't just with one student, I saw it in every student. Throughout a 5-day week, each student had to move their behavior clip at least one time. And that was the behavior management plan that my teacher had in place. Everyone started their day on green, and then if they did something either behavior-wise or they weren't getting along with others, they would move their clip. So every student in a 5-day week had to move their clip one time. And the teacher really didn't have a reason to tell the students, well, you did this and that's why you moved your clip. It was kind of like, move your clip, and then we moved on. And I did notice it was taking away from the academics. There were so many times during lessons where we did not get accomplished everything we had planned just because of all of the behavior issues. My cooperating teacher had already had an idea to try to implement a new behavior system. So I talked with her my ideas of, I really noticed the students are having problems cooperating in groups, being honest and being kind. So that's where I kind of came up with my idea to implement a new system. My literature review, I focused on 3 big ideas to kind of help me to put my whole project together. My first one that I focused on was the effect of hidden curriculum on character education. In schools, if you're stopping your lesson multiple times for behavior issues, students aren't receiving the proper education because they're not getting through everything that you're supposed to. They're listening to the teacher yell at Johnny when they should be doing their math. So, as teachers, it is our job to educate our students on more than what is provided in the teacher's manual. We need to teach them how to be good students to prepare them for society. I also focused on the social benefits of morning meeting because I noticed if you just tell students, you need to do this, you need to do this, it doesn't really click for a 1st grader, but if you have them up, moving, interacting with their peers, they have that experience of, if I do this, this is how I can show them I'm kind. If I do this, this is how I can cooperate. So when you give them that experience, that seems to be very beneficial for them. So even though a heavy emphasis is placed on standardized testing in schools, it is extremely important that students learn skills such as problem solving, creativity, and respect in order to prepare them for 21st century skills. And then my last focus of my project was focusing on positive character traits. And I used the RTI response where I had a token behavior system where as soon as students showed me they could be kind, they would earn tokens. And I've noticed that when you focus on the negative aspects of students, they don't really respond well. But if you focus on a student being like kind or cooperating, other students will witness that and they want to be just like that. They want want to have that positive attention in the classroom. My methodology, again, focused around my question, how will implementing character education into morning meetings affect students' behavior inside and outside of the classroom. My first week, I gave a pretest, and instead of giving this pretest to the students, I gave the pretest to 4 of the specials teachers and my cooperating teacher. And on that pretest, it was a survey where I kind of explained what I was doing for my project, things I've been seeing in the classroom, and things that I wanted to change. So I asked 5 questions, and the teachers had to rate the students from a 1 to a 5. A 1 meaning they never saw the students exhibiting this behavior, and 5, they did see students exhibiting this behavior. And I really wanted them to focus on the class as a whole and not just focus on one particular student. So the 5 questions I asked were: students follow directions the first time they are given. Students do not talk when you, the teacher, are talking. Students are kind to their classmates. Students are open to working in groups that you choose. And students are honest and tell the truth. And I kind of took the results that I gained from that pretest to then move on to my next part of my project. So I did 3 weeks, and 1 week I focused on kindness, 1 week cooperation, and the next week honesty. And if you look at the packet I handed out, it has some student work samples. On the first page, you'll see it says kind kids. And this was my first day that I did this project, and I wanted to see, do they even know what it means to be kind? If I say, will you be kind, do they really even know what that means? And this student says, kind kids can help if someone needs your help. They have kind stuff, and they are good. So I kind of got the idea that they don't really understand. They have like a general idea, but I need to give them more materials and ways to learn about kindness. So in this first week, we did a lot of scenario-based acting out things. I would give them a scenario where someone was not being kind, and we would talk about, that's not good, let's change this, how can you be kind? I also did an activity, and this was the students' favorite activity. It was called Words Are Like Toothpaste, where I took a plate and I took a whole tube of toothpaste and I put it all over the plate. And I asked them, how are words like toothpaste? And some of the ideas were, well, words can be sweet, words can be minty. But then I said, well, how can we get all of this toothpaste back into its container? And you can't. So that's just like words. Once you say something, you can't take it back. So it's really important to use kind words because that's what people will always remember. And still to this day, they still remember that words are like toothpaste. Moving on to week 3 is when I focused on cooperation. Again, I wasn't totally sure if they understood what cooperation was, so we did a lot of group work in morning meeting and then also throughout the day. And I did notice that when I had them working with their best friends, they were awesome. They got everything done. But as soon as you would switch up those groups and have them working with someone new, things started to go a little off track. So we just talked about how it's important to work well with everyone and know that in group situations, everyone has a different role, and it's important to know your role. So a lot of the group work and scenarios, again, that week really seemed to click for students. And for all of the weeks when I saw students either exhibiting kindness or cooperation, they would earn tokens or coins. And then finally, my 4th week, we focused on honesty. This was a major issue in our class. Students thought it was fun to lie. They liked to make up stories, which was a big pet peeve for me. So this week I talked about the boy who cried wolf, how when you tell a lie so many times, people will stop believing you. So they really seem to click with that too. Still to this day, if someone is starting to tell a lie, they'll say, you don't want to be like the boy who cried wolf, or no one will believe you. And then finally, the 5th week, I gave the same pretest to all of the teachers, and I again asked them to rate the students as a class to see if what I implemented affected them. My assessment strategies, like I said, there was a pretest and a post-test, and that's where I got a lot of my data. And then the students, I assessed them through the amount of coins they earned. As you'll see in my first graph, I have kindness, and the green, the light green, is the pretest. Teachers scored students very low on the pretest, but then as you can see, all of them saw improvement in the students on the post-test. Again, with cooperation, the light green is the pretest, very low. Some teachers rated the students 1.5. They rarely saw the students cooperating in groups. But then on the post-test, some teachers had them the whole way up to a 4.5 out of 5, rating them working well in groups. And then finally, honesty. The pretest scores were not as low on these as the other ones, but still, they were kind of low. But then again, on the post-test, after I implemented the character education into morning meeting, they all saw positive results. My interpretation of data, overall, every teacher saw improvement in the students from the time of the pretest to the time of the post-test. I have the averages up there, so for kindness, they averaged a 2.7 on the pretest and went up to a 4.1. For cooperation, they averaged on the pretest a 2.4 and then went up to a 4.2 on the post-test. And for honesty, they started at a 2.1 and went up to a 3.9 on the post-test. So I was really excited to see these increases. And I feel that this increase in positive behavior suggests that implementing character education into morning meetings will affect students' behavior inside and outside of the classroom. Implications for myself. After conducting the study, I will definitely implement character education into my future classrooms. And when I have more time, I would like to focus on other character traits and do it for a longer period of time. For educators and families, it is so simple to do a short mini lesson every morning to teach your students how to be kind, cooperative, honest, and other character traits, because you will see not only improvements in their behavior, but also in their social interactions with others. So implementing mini lessons or even short videos in your class would be helpful. For families, it might be hard to do mini lessons at home, but if you go online and you look up short videos, stories, those are easy things to even implement into bedtime routines. And then these are all of the references I use.